University Malaya. She currently serves as Deputy Vice Chancellor of Research, Community and Industry Link at Selangor Islamic University and is actively involved with national institutions such as Baitul Mal Selangor and Kedah Zakat Authority. With strong expertise in economic development and social finance and a track record of award-winning research, Dr. Latifa brings both academic depth and practical insight to this discussion. Please welcome her as the moderator for this session. For this session, our distinguished panel comprises of Director of Social Finance at Bank Islam Malaysia, Mr. Muhammad Zikri Muhammad Shairi. Professor and Associate Dean for Students and Internationalization at INSIF University, Professor Dr. Aishat Muniza. Chief Islamic Banking Officer of Bank of Maldives, Mr. Hassam Kalam. Consultant at Ministry of Economic Development and Trade, Ms. Fatmat Nashwa Badir. Deputy Director of Islamic Financial Services Board, Dr. Hamim Sayahrum Ahmad Mokhtar. Please join me in welcoming our moderator and distinguished guests and panelists onto the stage. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, brother. So today, a little bit later for the panel discussion. So the panelists, I think, should need to answer the questions in a very short time, inshallah. So the topic for our second panel discussion today is Beyond Banking Islamic Finance as a Tool for Social Transformation. This theme invites us to look beyond conventional financial services and explore more on how Islamic social finance can be catalyzed for positive change in society. As many of you are aware, the MMA has launched MISFI, the Maldives Islamic Social Finance Initiatives, in May 2025. This initiative provides an important framework and direction for the development and implementation of Islamic social finance in the Maldives. It reflects a national commitment to harnessing the values of equity, solidarity, and social justice that lie at the heart of Islamic finance. Today's panel brings together experts who will help us unpack the ideas, share experiences, and reflects on how Islamic social finance can truly contribute to social transformation within the Maldives local context. I encourage everyone to listen closely and engage with the insights that will be shared. With that and without further ado, I would like to begin the first question to Ustaz Muhammad Zikri. Okay. So the Islamic finance is often associated with banking and investment. So in your view, what makes Islamic social finance distinct and what kind of society is it ultimately trying to build? 3 minutes.
Thank you, Dr. Latifa. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Moderator, fellow panelists, Prof. Munzir, and MMA, and ladies and gentlemen. To answer that questions, I think I do a lot of reflections after listening to Prof. Munzir keynotes just now. Because always when we talk about banking, Islamic banking, we will see the typical structure of the banking, whereby those who have money will do the deposit, and the lending or the financing will be given to those who have the ability to repay the financing. But when we talk about social finance, this is where Prof. Munzir, if I may give some introduction, Bank Islam Malaysia, I'm from Bank Islam Malaysia. We have been established in 1983. At the age of 30 years, in 2013, we have started to think about what is the end game for the Islamic bank. Is that just for profit, as well as the having offered all the Islamic Sharia compliant banking product as the alternative and solution for the conventional and riba-based product? So this is where our first managing director, Dr. Abdul Halim Ismail, when he received the Global Islamic Finance Forum, the Royal Award during the Global Islamic Finance Forum in 2014, he quoted the verse Al-Baqarah, Yamhaqullahu riba wa yurbi sadaqat. Allah destroy his blessing in matters related to riba, and Allah increase his blessing in matters related to sadaqat. And this is where we started to do reflection. This is actually the message for the Islamic Bank. If you want to do the benefit for the society and the public, we have to embed the element of social finance within the existing banking framework. Is that possible? That's the question, the big question. This is where Dr. Latifa and his research team performed the feasibility study, whether the Sadaqah House, we call it as Sadaqah House, is feasible to be established within the banking framework. And Alhamdulillah, the research has been gone through for 3 years. And in 2018, Bank Islam Malaysia become the off-taker to that research, and we start to kick off the Sadaqah House. This is where as well, when Maldives Monetary Authority study about Sadaqah House model, and it replicate this kind of model to be modified so that it's suitable for Maldives as the Maldives Islamic Social Finance Initiative. But I think more than 3 minutes, right? Yeah, it's okay. So I think this is where the structure has been expanded. And when we talk about Islamic banking and Islamic finance, it's not only about the asset growth, it's not about the figure, but it's also about the inclusivity, about dignity, about empowerment through the social finance. And how the model of social finance being embedded within the banking framework, we integrate the zakat, sadaqah, and waqaf, like what Prof. Munzir has briefed to us just now, with the traditional banking instrument. For example, we have poor people in one state in Malaysia, Kedah. They are salaried asnaf. They are fakir and miskin, but they have salary. They are teaching religious knowledge to our kids in Kedah. But they have no ability to own a house. Why? Because they have very small income. So what we do the blended finance. We do the hybrid funding, whereby zakat and banks financing has been used, combined, to be given for this asnaf so that they can construct a house on their land. So people started to ask, why don't you give zakat 100% to these people? Because they have salary. Unlike some of the asnaf, whereby the rubber tappers, for example, in Kedah, they are really subject to the weather condition. Sometimes they have income, sometimes they have not have no income. Different as compared to this segment. So this is some of the example that I can share with you how Islamic social finance can be integrated with the core Islamic banking structure so that it can amplify the benefit to the ummah, to the communities, inshallah.
Thank you very much, Ustaz. Okay, we go to the next speaker, Prof. Dr. Aishat Muniza. I'm not going to conclude anything since we have panelists, so they need to talk more today. Yeah? So we often hear that Islamic social finance can be a catalyst for social transformation. In your opinion, what does transformation really means in today's context? And are we seeing that potential being realized?
Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and a very good afternoon to all of you. So obviously, when it comes to banking, we understand that it's all about making profit. But if you're talking about Islamic social finance, as we have heard from the previous keynote speech, it's obvious that we are going beyond profit maximization and we are trying to achieve societal good. Now, if it comes to formal financial institutions such as banking institutions, we understand that they have a certain defined roles in the economic ecosystem that we have. But when we talk about those who are marginalized populations in countries or unbankable segment of the population, they are unable to go to the formal financial institutions and get financial assistance to uplift their lives. So, the ultimate goal of Islamic social finance is to ensure that everyone in the society is able to achieve what they want to achieve in life without compromising their needs or without having to beg any other member of the society to fulfill their needs. In other words, in simple terms, we are talking about having a dignified life while we are living in this world. So for me, when we talk about Islamic social finance, it means that we are going beyond the transactions we make in banking, and what we are trying to achieve is societal good. For example, there is one of the project that which we are doing for UNFPA Malaysia. We are trying to come up with the world's first community credit exchange. Now, what do we mean by community credit exchange? It simply means that we want to ensure that there is a mechanism embedded in the societies which we are living in, as we all are doing good. But do we earn community credit for that, and are we able to exchange those community credit for something good that we can achieve in our society? Now imagine a situation, somebody is serving a sick mother or father, or giving education to orphans and spending so much of their time by sacrificing their needs on achieving these societal goods. So in these instances, if we have established a mechanism to provide community credit to those who are doing good to the community, they would be able to fulfill their wishes by exchanging this community credit to some services or in monetary form in a manner where they could be benefited as well. For example, somebody sacrificed their education while serving a societal need. So in that case, if they want to go to a university, the tuition fee of that particular university could be free because of the community credit earned. And this is a mechanism where we are promoting societal good. And just like carbon credit exchanges, why can't we have community credit exchanges established so that we can do good and we can encourage people to do good without sacrificing their needs and wants? So to sum up, I would say that there is a lot of potential of Islamic social finance. It's a matter of understanding our needs and coming up with customized products and services that could help our societies. So what is maybe relevant to Malaysia might not be relevant to Maldives. So we have to understand the context, and we have to come up with the products that will ensure that poverty is eliminated and people can have dignified life without begging and depending on one-time assistance. Right now, the trend we have in the Maldives, sadly, is we are always depending on one-time assistance. Whether it is zakat, whether it is awqaf, whether it is any other type of social finance instruments, or even fulfilling our basic needs, we either depend on the state or we are relying on the social instruments in such a way that we believe that that is for one-time consumption, and this mindset needs to be changed to achieve the full potential of Islamic social finance in our society. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof. Aisha, for giving the example. Okay, Mr. Hassan Kalam from banking, from Bank of Maldives here. You know, like what Prof. Monzir said during his keynote address, we have three system, right, in Islamic economic systems. Like we have welfare sector, so government sector and private sector. And normally when it comes to bank, previously they said bank only profit maximization, right? But then like each sector have the responsibility towards the society, right? So on our team today, beyond banking, from your position within the banking sector, so how do you interpret this idea in practical terms? And how can a bank move beyond simply offering Sharia compliant products to truly embody the spirit and purpose of Islamic social finance?
Thank you. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. I think based on the discussions that we have been having today, one thing is certain, that we need to move from compliance to contribution. I think that's the key thing that banks need to do. So our bank included, we have been very, good at providing Sharia compliant financing. But how much of that really impacts the society? I think that is what needs to be explored at this point. We have been at the forefront developing Sharia compliant products which caters to avoidance of riba at the moment. But avoidance of riba is not the only concept in Islamic finance. So avoidance of riba is one part of it. The other part relates to, as Prof mentioned today, relates so much to all other faculties that we have. For example, providing a better livelihood, social impact, and so forth. So now I think it is time where we move from providing Sharia compliant financing to providing financing which really impacts the society. Now, I think there are three important factors that we have to consider when we are taking this into consideration. The first thing is social finance need to move into a strategy rather than a CSR activity. So we need to have long-term goals and embed that social finance is part of Islamic banking. It is not a CSR activity that we have to undertake. It needs to be in our long-term strategy that we provide this. From moving on from that point, we need to develop products that cater to this strategy. In my opinion, there are a lot of things that we can do at the moment. And the other aspect of it is, I think the second aspect of it is, there should be clear governance on this. The customers should be able to see how transparent we are, where their money is going, how it is being spent. I think that only infuses the trust that the customers really want, so that they will also in turn be contributing to enriching the society as well. So these points need to be considered when moving strategically from a banking perspective, in my opinion. There are a lot of initiatives that have been currently undertaken. I think Maldives has been a bit late entering into this Islamic social finance initiative, but nevertheless it is better late than never. So we have embarked on this, and I think the first few steps we have started taking with initiatives from MMA as well. So I think if we can find these few pilot projects and focus on this and deliver an impactful message to the citizens or the society that Islamic finance is not only about profit maximization, but it also helps uplift the society, then I think it will kick in. So that's okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kalam. It was really insightful. Okay, we go to our next panelist, Ms. Fatima Nashwa. Okay, from your ministry standpoint, how can Islamic social finance help advance national goals for inclusive and sustainable economic empowerment?
Assalamu alaikum and a very good evening to everyone. So when the moderator mentioned my ministry's perspective, it's the Ministry of Economic Development. So what we are looking is a bit, I think, at the bigger picture. Currently, as mentioned in the first panel, one of the goals that The national goal that we are working towards is the Vision 2040 for Maldives to be a developed nation. But in order to reach that, we have to see that currently economic contribution to GDP main area is from tourism, which is very obvious. But when we look at it, the top 2 and 3 is also very much reliant, which is wholesale and retail as well as transport and communication. These are also dependent on the growth of tourism as well. So in a way, the top 3 is basically tourism. So we need a little diversification very heavily right now. So a lot of focus is on going on to that. So when you're saying how can Islamic social finance contribute to that, one thing is we have a lot that we can do to diversify the economy. One thing is to empower the local communities, local entrepreneurs. We have multiple entrepreneurs across the country. However, they're facing a lot of issues right now. One thing is, for example, we can take farmers, agriculture side. When we look at agriculture, they do not have, maybe sometimes they don't need massive capital. Maybe they're looking for small contributions in order to manage their challenges, whether it's crop or whether it's to buy certain equipments and such. These are things that I believe Islamic social finance can step in and provide, for example, because sometimes, even though there has been institutions such as SDFC or SME Digital now, which was established to cater to SME development. However, there are certain prerequisites required by businesses before a financing is provided to them. But sometimes there are businesses or even women entrepreneurs who don't necessarily fit these requirements. So this means that they are not eligible for any banking or financing product. So I believe that this is an area where Islamic social finance could step in, which in turn creates exportable products. So with that, we are able to have other sectors contribute to the GDP as well. And another area is where, which actually is in progress now as well, which is empowering the creative industry. So new financing was recently opened for the creative industry. And the creative industry, it does not limit to a certain area. It's not just handicraft creation or stone work, or it does also include digital creators and all of these entrepreneurs who are actually eligible, and that financing is provided under SME Digital Sharia compliant. So this again has a very limited requirements that they need to fulfill. However, these are areas where empowering local entrepreneurs in order to increase their contribution to the overall economy, I believe Islamic social finance can have a play in that.
Thank you very much, Ms. Fatimat Nashua. Okay, we go to Dr. Hamim. Sorry. Okay, Dr. Hamim Shahrul. Okay. So, okay, we go into Malaysian experience. Yeah? So, Malaysian's experience shows that Islamic social finance can complement national development goals when supported by strong policy and institutional frameworks. So, what guidance would you give to the Maldives as it begins its journey to establish an ecosystem for Islamic social finance?
Thanks. Being the last panelist, so all the points already taken by all the four. But before that, just to circle back what Mr. Hassan Kalam and Ustaz Zuki mentioned just now, what is social finance all about? Social finance is integrating the social finance instrument, zakat, wakaf, sadaqah, with the banking product together integrated so that it can actually help to reduce the cost funding for both for the recipient, especially for the underserved. When looking back in our experience, I could actually share in terms of 3 key takeaways from that. The first one is actually the terms are used: start small, starts now. Do the pilot now. In the case of Maldives, do the pilot based on the issues important at hand. It could be affordable housing. It could be try to help these women entrepreneurs do the pilot. And second key takeaways is about importance of coordination among the stakeholders. It's important to work together among stakeholders. So in our case, in our experience, for example, on iTekat, from Bank Negara perspective at that time, we do assessment in terms of the first on the financial institution in terms of their willingness and capability. And then we work together, not just with the bank, but also with those religious authority, the government agency together. So the importance of policy coordination is very important, because you can't work alone in this social finance elements. The third key takeaways is about monitor and measure. So what get measured, what been done get measured. So importance to really measure and monitor the social finance program that Maldives want to embark on. I'll stop there.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hamid. Okay, now we go to second round, but I just hope that the panelists can just answer within 2 minutes. Yeah? Okay, just short answer within 2 minutes. Yeah? Okay, we start with Ustaz Zikri. Malaysia has been at the forefront of linking Islamic banking with social impact. Based on your experience, what practical steps could Maldivian banks take to adapt or localize some of the successful Islamic social finance model that Bank Islam has implemented?
Thanks, Dr. Latifah. Try to compress within 2 minutes. This is the experience of Malaysia. As mentioned by Prof. Aisyah just now, it may not be relevant to Maldives. And I think throughout yesterday's discussion on the focus group discussion yesterday, roundtable discussion, I have discovered that actually Maldives has done a lot in terms of social finance. But I think with the presence of MISFI, it is more to elevate further the commitment of the Maldives nation towards doing betterment to the society through the social finance. Some experience of Malaysia, number one, if you want to further trailblaze the social finance, number one is to really embrace the purpose, the true purpose of doing social finance. That's number one. As Prof. Munzir mentioned just now, he quoted the Quranic verse, Kaila yakuna dulatan baina aghniya minkum, so that the wealth is not circulated only among the rich people. So that's among the philosophy that we have to embrace. That's number one. Number two is the action-oriented leadership. So the leaders from the boards until the management, executive level must really understand and clear on what are to be done under social finance agenda. That's our experience as well. Only with the buy-in of all components of the organization, we can, inshallah, execute smoothly on the social finance. Okay, time is... okay. Number three is the synergy. Synergy is key in this social finance. We are not competing with each other, because the true winner in social finance is the beneficiary, is the fakir and miskin, the targeted segment under social finance. I think this is among the three, but last but not least, last but not least is the capacity building on the executors of social finance. It's very important, because when we talk about social finance, it's not only about finance and Sharia, it is beyond that. We may talk about behavioral science, because to understand our segment, targeted segment, how to really handhold them so that they become bankable after our intervention. We have to understand about digitalization. The digital expert is needed, because we want to reach out, especially in Maldives, right? A lot of islands, a lot of atolls to be reached out, so that perhaps digital is something that we may consider in our tools as the intervention. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Ustaz. Okay, we go to Prof. Dr. Aishad Muliza. Okay, in your view, what unique opportunity did the Maldives have to leverage Islamic social finance as a tool for social transformation?
Thank you very much. I
2
think-
minutes, yeah?
Yeah, I think the most important thing is changing the mindset of thinking that when it comes to different types of social financial instruments, it's all about one-time charity. Rather than that, we need to have a mindset whereby we should believe that whether it is zakat, whether it is awqaf, or whether it is any other type of Islamic social finance instruments, it should be something that would be capable of transforming our lives and creating long-term impact in such a way that whoever needs assistance or one-time assistance today can become those who can earn something on their own and who would be able to pay zakat or could contribute to charity or awqaf in future. So if we can have that type of a mindset in our country, I think we would be able to come up with different types of transformational Islamic social finance instruments. And for that, we also need to redefine the purpose of finance. For example, let's talk about capital market. Now, in the capital market, if we look at it from a global context, even if we look at India, for example, they have come up with the concept of social exchanges, which means that now it's not only the public listed companies who can go to capital market and raise financing, but even NGOs are capable of doing that. But in our country, right now, if we look at the capital market, it's still for bigger corporations who are mostly profit-oriented institutions. So being a small community island, why can't we learn from our neighbors and come up with a concept where we could also help the NGOs to raise financing through the social exchange established in the capital markets, or coming up with the concept, for example, recently Securities Commission Malaysia has come up with a social exchange, kind of an idea where you can have digital platforms established and achieve the same purpose. So what I believe is that we just need to redefine the purpose of finance and ensure that there's no one financially excluded in our society. And when we deal with Islamic social finance instruments in our societies, we need to ensure that we come up with transformational programs rather than concentrating on giving and giving and giving and making people more poorer than they are now, and building the culture where people expect state to give, where people expect different types of Islamic social finance instruments to be just instruments where they are given money for consumption, which means that it is only used for today. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Aisha. Okay, Mr. Hassan Kalam, we are just going fast, so 2 minutes from Mr. Hassan Kalam. Given the insight shared from Malaysia and global best practices, how is Bank of Maldives adopting these lessons to suit the local context, and what challenges do you anticipate in implementing Islamic social finance initiatives here? Maybe you can give one, the biggest challenge that you have to face in banking.
Yes, give me some time to get my thoughts clear. So I think Malaysia is way ahead when compared to Maldives, and especially Bank of Maldives in that regard. But I think the advantage for us is now that we can rely on Malaysia. We can rely on the expertise, and that's what we've been doing so forth. So I think one of the biggest challenges, we had started this initiative, I think my colleague is here with me, Abdul Hadi. We had some discussions in the bank as to how we can further take this. So one of the biggest challenges that we found out was that there was some regulatory requirements that need to come into the picture. So I think with the initiatives from MMA now that has kicked in, So it's I mean, one of the greatest challenge that we face now has been, now you can say, eased out at the moment, and we are progressing on that grounds. Now the next thing that we need to do is have the proper, what you call, have the necessary groundwork for Islamic social finance. I think that is something that is lacking at the moment as well. So we need to conduct our baseline surveys, understand what are the requirements. Now, as the previous governor mentioned, Maldives is unique. Every country is unique. So what's working for Malaysia, even though we borrow it from Malaysia, might not work for Maldives as well. We need to understand how best we can implement it in Maldives. So I think that would be the two biggest challenges that we might face with the implementation. But Alhamdulillah, we are progressing at a speed that we did not anticipate. So I would like to thank Maldives Monetary Authority for that initiative, and yourselves as well for contributing to that initiative as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kalam. Okay, we will go to the next panelist, Ms. Fatima Nashwa. Before we go, I just want to inform the earlier panelists, later conclusion, 1 minute. You just prepared with one statement what you want to tell to the for the Islamic social finance in Maldives. Yeah? Okay. As the Maldives develops its Islamic social finance ecosystem, what do you see as the ministry's top strategy priorities to ensure these initiatives contribute effectively to inclusive and sustainable economic growth?
2 minutes. So I'll not talk
2
about.
minutes, yeah?
I'll not mention diversification again. However, that is one of the top priorities. But the one other area that I think impacts all Maldivians, that where Islamic social finance and a sustainable economic growth can play hand in hand, is ensuring food security in Maldives. We have a very vulnerable supply chain when it comes to there was the paper published about the tourist arrivals, the impact of shocks on tourist arrivals. But another thing that is very vulnerable to such shocks is our supply chain. For example, one storm in the Indian Ocean would affect Maldivians would not get onions, which would create a whole issue. I think every Maldivian would know that. So those areas, so in order to ensure that food security is strong, and for that we need things such as distribution centers, we need cold storages, and we also need our farms and agricultural industry all empowered. So these are areas that could be top priority. And along with that, we also have to look at that when we are heading toward a big goal of 2040 to be a developed nation, we are facing a whole economic transformation which needs to start from today. So Islamic social finance would and should play a very important role in this whole economic transformation we are facing.
Thank you very much, Ms. Fatima Nashwa. Okay, we go to our final panelist, Dr. Hamim Sharo, but don't worry, you have another round to conclude. One sentence, yeah? Okay, before that, what practical regulatory and institutional measures were most critical in Malaysia's success with Islamic social finance, and which of these could be adopted by the Maldives as it develops its own ecosystem?
Thanks, my humble view, because it's not a success, it's a journey. I always say it's always a journey. First, actually, top-down mandate. Alhamdulillah, through MMA, you have this MIS fee to start with. So that's good. Second is actually having a formal network. Formal network of those stakeholders is really important, so that you can actually monitor the executions. Because more often than not, executions fail without being monitored. So having the formal network of those stakeholders, government agencies, MMA, bankers, all those NGOs, where you periodically have a meeting, measure progress. That's really critical, that I'm confident MMA can actually coordinate. The third one, having what we call it, proportionate regulations. It could be via having an innovation sandbox. So I heard that MMA are now currently in the midst of having this innovation sandbox to allow more innovation to come into place. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Hamid. Okay, we can go for the concluding round before we go for Q&A. Okay. Can you say one? Can. So we go conclude. We go conclusion later. Tu ada? There?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I think the basic question is, we have adopted the Western capitalist model and business model of bank. Is that most suitable for the Islamic economic system and society? That is, I think, the basic question. If we talk about the Western model as it is, so efficiency and profitability would not be the same if Mr. Islamic Bank Malaysia is going to do some other activities that all of them will have cost and will have all kind of different focus and different orientation. So it will not be competitive under the terms of the Islamic, the Western capitalist banking system. So is that model the best for the Islamic economy, or we need probably a different model? And a different model will be judged under different criteria, would be supervised. Its supervision by Central Bank of Malaysia, Bank Negara, will be wrong. It should be supervised by another kind of institution that takes the social considerations and the social variables into account. So this is, I think, the point that we need to focus on. Can we find a different model of finance, whether to play the role of financial intermediation, and that is more socially suitable, different than the Western banking model? If our answer is yes, so let's search for this model, and we don't need to judge it at all by the standards of the capitalist bank. That's my point. Thank you.
To me, really appreciate that comment, Prof. Munzir. What I learned throughout the 5 years journey in embedding social finance within the banking framework is the courage to challenge the status quo. I think this maybe we don't have that definite answer to that question yet at the juncture, because with the courage that has been initiated by the Central Bank of Malaysia to take initiative, but perhaps Malaysia have different legal structure when we talk about Islamic social finance, for example. I believe Prof. Munzir also know about we have 14 states, and the 14 states have the jurisdiction on the zakat, waqaf, and others. So this is, I think, where the Central Bank has taken step to do some, maybe I would say harmonization, if I may, to the, so that those instruments can be combined, can be blended to give another impact to the society. But I think this is the trial, what we call session, period towards that. Maybe inshallah after another 5 years, for example, if we see we have a more ideal model, inshallah we will pursue the ideal model on the governance for the social finance, inshallah. Prof. Nazir.
If I may, thanks, Prof. Very good questions. To me, from Malaysia perspective, it boils down to two factors if you want to go to the route of having a unique banking or unique financial institutions. The first factor is important is on the awareness and understanding of the public at large about the Islamic finance. That's critical when we want to do on this. How we actually in Malaysia, that's what we do on the pilot. So we start before that on the profit sharing on investment account, on the funding itself, where you have this musyarakah, mudarabah from the funding side, where we change the legal act. Investment must be no profit and loss sharing, hence no capital. And the second initiative is about the social finance perspective. Those are distinct, unique Sharia contract that embedded in the banking contracts. So the factors and over the years, the understanding of the public, then we can have those distinct banking.
We should remember that the Nasser Social Bank in Egypt, that experience wasn't successful.
And the other factors is really important that also in Madif, the bank itself need to remain competitive, need to remain strong. Otherwise, you can't really go to those distinct banking.
Okay, we open for question first before we go to the panel to conclude with one sentence, inshallah. Anyone else? Anyone else? Yes, please.
Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you everyone for the fruitful discussion and highlight by all the panelists. So my comment is that, okay, so when we receive the awqaf, basically there is two issues. The first one, the underutilization of the assets that we are receiving, okay? If we take some cases, for example, if we talk about Malaysia, there's many lands and many, assets that are not, utilized, and that, to generate more income for the social finance. Second is about sustainability. Okay, if we just keep, spending or distributing whatever work we give, then how long it will sustain? So what is the mechanism basically that you may advise to ensure sustainability and to, utilize the available assets? The people are too generous basically, but how we are going to make the best out of, utilizing those assets? Thank you.
Thank you very much for that great question. I think it's a challenge that we face worldwide. The Waqf land remain idle. I think the short answer for this would be we need to find the appropriate financing mechanisms to ensure that the land itself becomes something productive and can generate enough revenue for the purpose in which the Waqf is formed, or to divert it to beneficiaries. So there are two case studies which I can cite now, Zamzam Tower Sukuk and MUIS or Majlis Ugama Singapura, the Sukuk, Musharaka issued by them, whereby they made the idle, for example, if you look at the Singapore example, the idle Waqf land was situated in an unproductive area where they can't get good rental. So using the concept of istibdal, they first exchanged the land to an area where they can get good rental. Then they issued Sukuk Musharaka and built some buildings on it, whereby using the rental proceeds received from that, they were able to not only pay back to the Sukuk holders, but after the Sukuk tenure is over, whatever remaining becomes the property of the beneficiaries, right? So these types of funding models need to be utilized in order to ensure that the idle Waqf lands become productive. Thank you.
Any other questions? We
If
go
I may
for, okay,
add-
please.
If I may add on the question about sustainability, the question about sustainability itself. So when we talk about social finance, is try to help the underserved, try to help the poor. So we always neglect on the other side of beneficiary. So one of the things that important is really to help those poor people, to really educate them on the importance of this managing finance, everything, because otherwise they can't change mindset. So there are banks actually do the assessment through the behavioral. So before they try to help this underserved, they do the behavioral test in terms of willingness to change. So based on that, they help only those people who are really want to change in those people. Thanks.
So actually I have two questions. One is you mentioned about again and again the unbankable segment that we have in the market. So what are the actions that we can take under Islamic social finance or any other means that we can bring these unbankable segments towards the financial segment? And the other area is from the experience in Malaysia, which model is more successful, whether the Islamic finance social initiations taken by the government or that taken by a private institution? Is it clear? Shall I repeat?
First question.
Yeah. First question was, what are the actions that we can take to convert the... Yes. That is something I think we usually face. I think MED and Bank of Maldives also is well aware of that. We have certain segment here in the market that is considered unbankable because they don't have a fixed income or they don't have any asset that they can provide. And most of the Islamic finance and back-end models that we have in place, it requires us an asset or a set of income for them to have. So they become the unbankable segment. What are the actions we can do to move them to bankable segment?
There is no unified definition on unbanked or underbanked. Unified and standard definition, it depends. Especially if you talk about from the financial inclusion perspective, depends how the country behave and do for the financial inclusion. For example, in the case of Malaysia, in the case of Malaysia, the zakat asnaf of fakir and miskin, they will receive financial assistance from the state Islamic religious councils or from the welfare department, and they receive financial assistance through the bank account. So if we just see the financial inclusion because of having a bank account, so for example in Malaysia about 98% is financial included. But again, in our definition, this is an internal definition in Bank Islam Malaysia. We define those underbanked and unbanked if they are not eligible to apply for financing. So if they are doing business, they have not yet eligible to apply for the SME financing. If they are individual, they are not eligible to apply for the retail banking product. So as simple as that, our internal definition. So what we are doing is, the most important thing is how to shift them from underbanked to become bankable. So this is where we need to understand what is the requirement to become bankable. So we have to fill the gap. So for example, if we talk about SME financing, so why this segment, for example, they have not eligible to apply for SME financing? Because for example, the requirement of SME financing, they require financial audited statement. They require the income being deposited into the current account, business current account, so that they have to prove their income. So that is how we try to educate this segment. In addition to the business acumen program, the financial literacy, other financial literacy program. So this is the thing. Then this is very challenging. It's not easy. It is easier to speak rather than to execute. And most of the time, my team is at the roadside with the villagers doing this kind of intervention. But we have to be optimists on this segment. they have willingness, ability actually to unlock their potential. But we have to strategize, we have to empower them. Sometimes we have to let them to decide what are the business or the initiative that they want to do in order to increase their income. So I think that's my take to the question.
Very very short. Just to include one more thing, on a practical level, we are currently working on those things with STFC as well as I think BML and MIB as well. One thing is that we have started first of all to identify what are these, why are they unbankable. For one thing is they are self-employed, or they are home-based workers, or they are creative industry people. So first of all, we are creating their registries, we have identified them, we are working with them in order to identify how we can cater to their needs and develop financial instruments that are actually applicable to them. I think one example is the financing instrument open for creative industries, which previously is an industry that was never even defined in Maldives. So work is being going on, but I just wanted to add that.
Second question, Mr. Singh, how you want to answer second question, the Tamil? Because she asked in the context of Malaysia, right? So the second question?
I think if we see into the economic component, we have the public sector, CSE, Tijari, and Ijtimai. I think every component and every sector is contributing towards uplifting the socio-economic status of this segment. I don't have any data to say which sector that more effective in terms of the intervention initiative, but I would say the most importantly is our role in either we are from government servant or we are from the corporates, how we can put our efforts together to uplift this target segment.
Quick answer on the first question about helping them become bankable. Our panel just now discussed about helping those underserved or poor people through entrepreneurship, but there are also programs that we can actually do to help them to get employed. Recently in Malaysia, there was an announcement in the budget that through social finance itself, you can actually build a program to help these people to get employed, because not many people or poor people who want to be micro entrepreneurs, but they are also want just being employed. So the program itself, by using the social finance zakat wakaf sadaqah, it can be used to actually to funding the capacity building program to develop those skill sets for them to get a skill set and work together with the corporates here in Maldives who are willing to take them once they are become skilled person. That's how the program, that can be another program that can be done here. Thanks.
Okay. No more, Finish, yeah? Okay, we can end the session. We ask the panelists to conclude one sentence, yeah? With one sentence, conclusion, how you want to motivate Islamic social finance for Maldives, yeah? I mean, how you can motivate them with one sentence on the Islamic social.
I don't have one sentence, but two paragraphs, but small. Please allow me to quote again and again what have been written by Professor Muhammad Yunus in his book. He mentioned about bonsai tree. You know bonsai tree, right? So to me, the poor are like bonsai trees. When you plant the best seed of the tallest tree in a 6-inch deep flower pot, you get a perfect replica of the tallest tree. But it is only inches tall. There is nothing wrong with the seed you planted, only the soil base you provided was inadequate. So poor people are bonsai people. There is nothing wrong with their seeds, only society never give them a base to grow on. So now is our role. Either we are from public sector, private sector, or from the civil society organizations to do our role to elevate and to uplift this segment.
I think I also don't have one sentence. I don't know how to say. So basically, I think if we were to untap the potential of Islamic social finance in the Maldives, we need to leverage on the strengths we have. Number one, we are good at technology. Now, if we look at Islamic social finance, we are talking about mobilizing of funds for the purpose is the first step. So when we talk about mobilizing of funds for the purpose, we can leverage, for example, on issuing of blockchain sukuk, maybe to mobilize funds. And when it comes to managing of the funds that we get, again, we can use the technology to ensure that there's transparency, there is confidence and trust built in the platforms we use. Maybe we can use a platform like Crypto Zakat platform, where we don't have to wait until the funds are growing to be dispersed. When the user wants to disperse the funds immediately, they can find the beneficiaries and do it. And the last stage obviously would be to find the most deserving beneficiaries and coming up with a proper list of them. Even for that, we can leverage on technology. And when it comes to disbursement or the delivery of the funds, today we have technologies like Internet of Things. Before the recipients or the beneficiaries come forward and say, I'm eligible to receive zakat, for example, why can't we use technologies like IoT, measure household poverty level, and deliver zakat to those who are in need instead of them coming forward and begging for it? And the second point which I want to highlight is collaboration is very, very important in our context. We are a very small country and we have a lot of institutions that deal with unbankable or unserved or underserved segments of the population. And if we can come together and design programs using, for example, blended finance, that would be more successful than one institution trying to achieve societal good. So collaboration is very, very important in our context. And the last point which I want to highlight is, just now Prof. Monzer have also mentioned that we need to find an alternative type of institution that is unique to Islamic finance principles. But instead of waiting for that day, I think we need to leverage on the institutions which has been already institutionalized and supervised in our context. And I can't think of any other institutions other than banks or financial institutions which are regulated by a regulatory authority to ensure that they have enough commercial finance products as well as social finance products that will help our society to alleviate poverty or achieve its societal goals. So in conclusion, of course, we can see a very bright future when we merge Islamic commercial finance with Islamic social finance, but it's just a matter of understanding our needs. And the point which I want to emphasize is we need to start now, but what is the starting point? The starting point, in my opinion, that we have to concentrate is first defining who is unserved and underserved segment of our population. If we don't understand who they are, there's no way we could have these targeted blended finance solutions or whatever Islamic finance solutions we have to uplift them. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Prof. Aisha. Okay, we give Maldivian time to speak. It's okay.
I will also speak in English. So I think currently we have the right mindset, and we currently have the political willpower as to develop Islamic social financing. So I think we are on the right track, and in terms of addressing who is the underserved, who do we need to uplift, I think those initiatives are also being kicked in right now, and banks are allocating funds just to uplift or make those unbankable customers bankable, because as we have highlighted, those customers are going to be an investment to the bank in the future. So rather than seeing money being spent, we have to see it as money being invested into generating better profits in the future. So I think the way forward is for Islamic banks, I think Sharia compliance is the minimum, and Islamic social finance should be our mission, and I think society uplifting should be our goal. I think that should be it.
Okay. I'm actually going to keep it very short. I think we are pressed for time as well. As all the panelists have mentioned, we are on the right track and we are on a very ambitious journey as well, especially from an economic point of view. So I believe this is Islamic social finance, Islamic finance in general, and this transformation would go hand in hand. So I'm very excited for the future.
Having engaged with all of you since yesterday, I'm confident with the commitment from all the parties. The one sentence to me is just do it. Just do it to identify what are the issues that you want to resolve at hand, be it affordable housing or women microentrepreneurs. Just do it between yourself, work together, having a network, because I understand you have 500,000 people, you are like family. Just do it in measure and monitor the success, the progress itself, and don't neglect the power of celebrate the success, even the small success. Make it market it as much as possible because you want to have more to jump the wagon on this initiative. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to all the panelists, and thank you very much for the audience. And I would like to apologize for any shortcoming during the panel discussion and also for the time. I hope it was okay, and also all of you have some ideas here on Islamic social finance and how it can be implemented in Maldives, inshallah. May Allah bless the effort. May Maldives one day become champion in Islamic social finance. Allahumma amin. Okay, I will give back to the MC, inshallah.